There's something delicious about being underestimated, because in that moment, when someone doubts you, they give you a gift. They hand you fuel, and you get to choose what to do with it. Some people waste that gift by believing the doubt. Others, they store it deep in their chest like a quiet ember, and they keep working until it's ready to burn. People don't always doubt you because of who you are. They doubt you because of who they think you are. They build a version of you in their heads made of half-truths, old mistakes, and small glimpses. And they use that version to measure you. But here's the thing, that version isn't the full story. And your job is not to convince them otherwise with words. It's to make your results undeniable. When you start your comeback, it won't look dramatic at first. It will look boring. Quiet mornings, long nights, sacrifices no one notices. You'll be building in silence while they're still talking. And that's exactly how it should be. Because your real power grows away from their gaze. One day, you'll step forward, and without even trying, you'll shatter the limits they placed on you. You won't have to scream for attention. Your success will do the talking. That's the beauty of a loud comeback. It's not about noise, it's about impact. Understand this. A loud comeback isn't about revenge. It's not about proving someone wrong for the sake of your ego. It's about reclaiming your story, rewriting your identity, and becoming the person you always knew you could be, whether they believed in you or not. And when that day comes, you won't even need their applause, because by then you'll have built something stronger than approval, self-respect. And that's the loudest sound of all. So don't waste your energy on their doubts. Let them doubt, let them talk, let them underestimate you. You focus on becoming so good, so undeniable, that when your comeback hits, it's louder than their voices could ever be. When someone doubts you, it can sting. It can feel like they're looking straight through you and seeing nothing worth believing in. But here's the truth. That doubt they just handed you is not a verdict, it's energy. You get to decide whether it becomes poison or power. Most people let doubt drain them. They hear someone's low expectations and think maybe they're right. But the people who rise, the ones who truly make a mark, are the ones who look at that same doubt and think, watch me. You see, doubt has a strange kind of magic. It sharpens your focus. When nobody believes in you, the noise fades. You stop trying to impress everyone and start working for something bigger. Their lack of faith frees you from their expectations, and you begin building something not for applause, but for your own growth. And in that space, your actions stop being about showing off and start being about showing up. Think about the greatest comebacks in history. They weren't fueled by comfort or constant validation. They were born in the shadows, in moments when someone said, "You can't," and the person on the receiving end decided, "I will." That fire didn't come from people cheering. It came from people doubting. And the beauty is, when you learn how to turn doubt into fuel, you no longer fear it. In fact, you almost welcome it, because you know it means you have something worth fighting for. Doubt is also a mirror. It forces you to ask yourself, do I believe in me? Because if you don't, their disbelief will crush you. But if you do, truly, deeply, then their doubt becomes background noise. It becomes like weights in a gym, heavy at first, but the more you lift, the stronger you get. Every time someone underestimates you, you get another chance to push harder, prove more, and build resilience. The mistake most people make is trying to fight doubt with arguments. They waste hours explaining themselves to people who have already made up their minds. But here's the secret: nothing silences doubt like results. Words are wind, but results are concrete. You don't need to win the debate. You need to win in reality. And when you do, their doubt transforms into the loudest, sweetest fuel for your momentum. So when someone tells you you're not ready, not good enough, not capable, don't get angry. Smile. Thank them silently, because what they just gave you isn't an insult, it's gasoline. And if you know how to use it, you can turn their doubt into the very thing that propels you far beyond what they ever thought was possible. People will always build their own version of you in their minds. Sometimes it's based on a moment they saw, a story they heard, or a version of you that no longer exists. And they'll treat that version as if it's the whole truth. But it's not. It's just a snapshot. And a snapshot can't tell the full story. The danger is, if you're not careful, you can start living according to their picture of you instead of the real one. Most of the time, their perception is built on incomplete evidence. They see a failure and assume you're not capable. They hear about a mistake and decide you're careless. They notice one weakness and conclude it defines you. But a person is more than their weakest moment, more than their past missteps. The problem is, most people never stop to think about the pages in your story they haven't read. They judge the cover and assume they know the plot. If you live your life reacting to how others see you, you end up trapped in a prison you didn't even build. You start making choices not because they're right for you, but because they might change someone's opinion. And the truth is, no matter what you do, some people will still hold on to their version of you because their perception isn't about accuracy, it's about comfort. People cling to their first impression because it's easier than updating it. That's why the comeback has to be for you, not for them. If your mission is to correct their perception, you'll spend your life chasing approval. But if your mission is to create the reality you want, regardless of what they think, then one day the reality will be so undeniable that their perception can't survive. They might never admit they were wrong, but the truth will be standing right in front of them. Perception is a lens, and everyone's lens is different. Some people see you through the blur of jealousy, others through the haze of their own insecurities. If you try to fix every lens, you'll lose sight of your own focus. The only thing you can do is keep becoming more of who you are until the gap between perception and reality is too wide to ignore. The most powerful thing you can do is let your reality outgrow their perception. That means putting your energy into action, growth, and consistency. Because while words can argue with perception, only results can rewrite it. And when that happens, you won't need to shout, "See, I told you." The truth will speak in a voice they can't pretend not to hear. The world loves to see the highlight reel, but it rarely wants to watch the unglamorous work behind it. The early mornings when no one else is awake. The hours spent learning, practicing, failing, and starting over. That's why the most transformative growth happens in silence, because silence is where distractions can't reach you, and your progress isn't slowed down by the need for applause. When you build in silence, you protect your vision from premature judgment. People are quick to label something as not working if they don't understand it. And if you share every step too soon, their doubt can seep into your process. By keeping your moves quiet, you give yourself room to experiment, adjust, and grow without the pressure of outside eyes. This isn't secrecy, it's strategy. Silence is also a shield from unnecessary noise. When you constantly announce your plans, you invite opinions you didn't ask for. And opinions can be heavy. They can make you question yourself before you've even had the chance to prove yourself. But when you work quietly, there's no outside commentary to filter through. There's only you, your effort, and the results you're shaping day by day. Think about how nature works. A seed doesn't sprout overnight. It spends most of its life underground before breaking through the soil. In that hidden phase, roots are growing deep and strong enough to sustain whatever is coming. The same is true for your dreams. The foundation you build in silence is what will keep you standing when your success finally comes into the light. The temptation is always to rush the reveal, to prove to people you're making moves, to show that you're progressing. But a quiet season doesn't mean a stagnant season. It means you're investing every ounce of your energy into substance over show, into mastery over image. The longer you build without distraction, the more undeniable your breakthrough becomes. When you finally step out of that silent season, you won't need to convince anyone you've changed. They'll see it instantly. The work you've done in the dark will speak with a confidence and strength that only comes from consistent, focused effort. That's the beauty of building in silence. when the world finally sees you. They'll think it happened overnight, but you'll know it was years in the making. There's a moment in every journey where words stop mattering. You've explained yourself enough, defended yourself enough, and tried to justify your vision enough, and it changes nothing. Because the truth is, people don't believe words as much as they believe evidence. And the most powerful evidence you can offer isn't a speech, a promise, or an argument, it's results. Results have a language of their own. They don't stutter, they don't waver, and they don't need anyone's permission to be real. When your results show up, even the people who doubted you have to acknowledge them. Whether they do it out loud or in silence, that's why you can waste months trying to change someone's opinion with talk, or you can spend those same months creating proof they can't ignore. When you focus on producing results, you take back your power. You stop being at the mercy of someone's belief or disbelief. You no longer need their validation to feel progress because you can see it in your own work, your own milestones, and your own achievements. It shifts the conversation from "can you do it?" to "look what you've already done." And that shift is unstoppable. The beauty of results is that they cut through noise. Opinions are subjective, but outcomes are hard evidence. You may have been underestimated before, but once the scoreboard changes, the narrative changes. People who never supported you might start claiming they always knew you'd make it. And while you don't need their recognition, you can smile knowing the proof came not from what you said, but from what you did. This is why quiet work pays off, because results reveal themselves naturally without you having to wave them in someone's face. It's like the sun rising. No announcement, no explanation, just light filling the sky until no one can deny it's morning. Your results should work the same way. Undeniable, unarguable, and impossible to overlook. And when your results finally speak, they'll speak louder than your critics ever did. They'll tell the story of your resilience, your discipline, and your refusal to quit. And unlike opinions, results leave a record, something real, something lasting, something that will stand long after the noise fades. The moment people start doubting you, your ego wants to step in and take control. It wants to shout, "I'll show you." It wants to turn your comeback into a performance for the very people who underestimated you. But here's the danger. If your motivation is only to prove them wrong, you're still letting them control the direction of your life. Your energy is still tied to their opinion. An ego-driven comeback is a fragile one. It burns hot, but it burns out fast. You may achieve something impressive, but if you did it only for validation, the moment you get it, or the moment it doesn't come, you'll feel empty. That's why the best comebacks aren't fueled by ego, they're fueled by vision. Vision lasts longer than applause. It's about building something that matters to you, not just something that shuts them up. When you chase recognition, you're chasing something you can't fully control. People might still choose not to see your growth. They might twist your success into luck or pretend it's smaller than it is. And if your self-worth depends on their acknowledgement, you'll be crushed when it doesn't arrive. But when you're chasing self-mastery, your satisfaction doesn't depend on anyone's reaction. You own it. You keep it. No one can take it away. Avoiding ego traps also means resisting the urge to rub your wins in their faces. Yes, it's tempting. Yes, you want them to feel the weight of every doubt they ever threw at you. But here's the truth. Silence can be far more powerful than gloating. Your growth is already proof. Your progress is already the answer. You don't need to spend your time crafting a speech for your doubters. Your life is the speech. Another ego trap is letting comparison distract you. You might look at someone else's journey and think you're behind, or that your progress isn't enough because it doesn't look like theirs. But your comeback isn't a race. It's a personal transformation. The only comparison that matters is between who you were and who you are now. That's the win. That's the proof. That's the real victory. The more you avoid ego traps, the more freedom you have to build your comeback on your own terms. You stop being a puppet to other people's opinions and start becoming the architect of your own destiny. And when that happens, your comeback becomes something deeper, not a momentary spike of success, but a permanent shift in who you are. One of the hardest things to do when you're working toward a comeback is to resist the urge to announce every step. We live in a world that rewards instant updates. Post your progress, share your plans, show everyone you're moving. But the danger with that is when you create noise too early, you shift your focus from building momentum to performing momentum. You start working for likes instead of results. Delaying the noise means giving yourself the gift of privacy while your foundation is still forming. A skyscraper isn't shown to the world when the first beam is laid. It's revealed when the structure is ready to rise without collapsing. Your journey is the same. The more you protect it in the early stages, the stronger and more stable it becomes before anyone else sees it. When you create noise too soon, you also invite criticism and doubt at a fragile stage. The truth is, not everyone wants you to succeed, and even those who do might unintentionally discourage you with questions, comparisons, or skepticism. If you share too early, you give them a chance to chip away at your confidence before it's fully built. By delaying the noise, you keep your energy undiluted and your drive intact. Another reason to delay the noise is because action speaks louder when it comes without warning. If you've been talking about your comeback for months, people start expecting it. And when expectations rise, so does pressure. But when you've been working quietly, your breakthrough lands like a surprise punch. It's unexpected, it's powerful, and it hits harder because no one saw it coming. Silence also allows you to course correct without the weight of public scrutiny. When you keep your plans to yourself, you can pivot, refine, and experiment without feeling like you've failed in front of an audience. Every great success story has twists and turns, and those turns are much easier to take when you don't have a crowd watching and commenting on every move. By delaying the noise, you give your work time to mature and your skills time to sharpen. You get to unveil something complete, something undeniable, something that doesn't need to be defended. It just needs to be shown. And when that moment comes, it won't be a whisper. It will be an earthquake. When life knocks you down, it's easy to start seeing yourself through the lens of your lowest moments. You might begin to believe you are your failures, your mistakes, or the times you fell short. The danger is if you hold on to that identity for too long, it becomes the story you tell yourself and the story you live. Reclaiming your identity means refusing to let your setbacks define who you are or who you're allowed to become. The truth is, other people will often try to freeze you in time. They remember the version of you that stumbled, that lacked experience, that didn't yet have the skills or wisdom you have now. And they'll speak to you as if that's the only version that exists. But you are not obligated to stay loyal to an outdated version of yourself. You can outgrow that skin, rewrite that narrative, and step into a new chapter that reflects the person you've been building in silence. Reclaiming your identity starts with ownership. You can't ignore the past, but you can take control of the meaning you attach to it. Every mistake can either be a weight or a stepping stone. The choice is yours. When you own your story instead of hiding it, you take away the power of shame and replace it with the strength of growth. You're no longer the person who failed. You're the person who learned, adapted, and rose again. It's also about realignment. Sometimes we drift away from the person we want to be because we're chasing approval, comfort, or shortcuts. Reclaiming your identity means coming back to your values, your vision, and your truth. It's asking, who am I when no one is watching? And then making decisions that honor that answer. Even if they're difficult, even if they require letting go of people or situations that no longer fit. One of the most powerful parts of reclaiming your identity is that it shifts your energy. When you know who you are and you stand firm in it, you stop chasing people to see your worth. You start attracting people who already do. You stop performing for validation and start living from a place of authenticity. That alone changes the way you move, the opportunities you attract, and the way you handle challenges. And here's the thing, reclaiming your identity isn't about becoming someone brand new. It's about returning to the strongest, most aligned, most unapologetic version of yourself, the one that existed before life and doubt tried to strip it away. It's about finally saying, "This is me," and letting that truth be the foundation your comeback is built on. One of the most liberating moments in life is when you stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Am I proud of me?" Approval feels good, but it's fleeting. It's dependent on the moods, biases, and ever-changing standards of other people. Self-respect, on the other hand, is stable. It comes from living in alignment with your values and knowing you didn't compromise your integrity to win applause. The danger of chasing approval is that it puts your worth in someone else's hands. If they praise you, you feel high. If they ignore you or criticize you, you feel low. Your confidence becomes a yo-yo controlled by the pull of other people's opinions. But when you put self-respect first, your confidence has roots. It doesn't sway every time the wind changes. Self-respect is built in the quiet choices, the ones no one else sees. It's in keeping promises to yourself, following through on commitments, and standing up for what you believe in, even if it's unpopular. These moments may not earn you a round of applause, but they earn you something far more valuable, the ability to look in the mirror without regret. When you value self-respect over approval, you also free yourself from the exhausting need to explain or defend your decisions. You stop living as a constant PR campaign for your life. People might misunderstand you, they might doubt you, they might even disapprove. But if you know you acted with honesty, discipline, and authenticity, their opinion loses its grip on you. Ironically, the moment you stop living for approval is often the moment you start earning genuine respect from others. People can sense when someone is grounded in their own worth, and that quiet confidence draws admiration naturally. But here's the key, even if that admiration never comes, you've already won. You've built a life where your sense of value is not rented from others, but owned outright. And that's the real power in putting self-respect above approval. It's unshakable. Applause fades. Public opinion shifts. But the dignity you feel from living true to yourself will carry you through every season, no matter how loud or quiet the world around you becomes. There's a hidden advantage in being underestimated. It lowers the noise around you. When people don't expect much from you, they stop watching so closely. They stop putting pressure on you. And in that space, you're free to move, experiment, and grow without the heavy weight of their constant judgment. It's like playing a game where no one knows you've been practicing in secret. You get to surprise them when it matters most. Being underestimated also takes away the burden of having to meet impossible expectations. If everyone thinks you're already at your peak, there's pressure to maintain an image. But when they think you can't do it, you can work in peace. Every small win feels bigger, every step forward is unexpected, and the moment you break through, it lands harder because it wasn't on their radar. There's also something deeply satisfying about letting someone's doubt become the very thing that fuels your rise. You don't have to confront them, argue with them, or try to change their mind. You simply let their low expectations sit there while you quietly build something far beyond what they imagined. It's not about revenge, it's about strategy. You let them think you're not a threat, all while becoming the strongest version of yourself. When people underestimate you, they often reveal their blind spots. They show you exactly what they're not paying attention to, which gives you a chance to develop those very areas in silence. They think you're weak in one skill. You double down on mastering it. They think you lack discipline. You become relentless in your habits. Over time, you're building an arsenal they never saw coming. And here's the beauty. When your moment finally arrives, their shock will be genuine. It won't just be that you succeeded. It will be that you succeeded without warning. There's a unique kind of power in that, because your success doesn't just change the scoreboard, it rewrites their entire perception of what you're capable of. Letting people underestimate you isn't about hiding forever, it's about timing. You hold back the reveal until your work is undeniable, until your growth is so clear that even your biggest doubters can't look away. And when that day comes, the silence you've been keeping will make the noise of your success even louder. In a world obsessed with being seen, it's easy to confuse attention with achievement, but attention is fleeting. It's here one moment, gone the next. Impact, on the other hand, leaves a mark that outlasts the moment. A loud comeback isn't about how many people are looking at you. It's about how deeply your actions change the game, your life, and the lives of others. Chasing attention can pull you off track. It tempts you to prioritize quick wins and flashy moments over meaningful progress. You start working for reactions instead of results. And while that might feel exciting in the short term, it rarely builds anything lasting. Impact is different. It's built slowly, consistently, and often in the background before it explodes into something undeniable. When you focus on impact, you stop asking, how many people are watching? And start asking, what difference am I making? That shift changes everything. It changes the way you approach your work, the way you measure success, and the way you handle setbacks. Because when the goal is to make a difference, temporary distractions lose their power over you. Impact doesn't require a spotlight. In fact, some of the most powerful changes happen quietly. Think of the people who transformed their lives in ways no one saw coming. The quiet discipline, the relentless effort, the invisible hours. When the results finally appear, they don't just impress, they inspire. That's the kind of noise worth making. Focusing on attention can make you reactive. You move based on trends, opinions, and what will get the most immediate applause. But focusing on impact makes you proactive. You choose actions that matter in the long run, even if they don't earn instant recognition. And when your comeback is built on that kind of foundation, it's not just loud for a moment, it echoes for years. The truth is, attention fades, but impact compounds. A moment of applause might boost your ego, but a moment of impact can change your life's trajectory. When your comeback is rooted in making a real difference, the volume doesn't come from how many eyes are on you. It comes from how deeply your success is felt by everyone who experiences it.